The Dawning is back this festive season along with a bunch of holiday themed weapons, including a new Dawning Glaive, all of which have a ton of brand new perks, but which rolls do you need to get? The newest weapon added to the Dawning calendar is the Albedo wing. It's an arc energy glaive which What do you mean it's not a legendary stasis glaive? We already have two technically free tier arc glaives. Why do we need another one? A stasis glaive would make absolute sense for the Dawning. I know that Skeletor won't be happy about this, not one bit. Moving on, Glacioclasm is back for what seems like the 1 millionth time, but it's basically the gift that keeps on giving at this point, as it's always one of the best fusion rifles in the game no matter what year or iteration it is. It's probably the best thing to farm this year with your Dawning engrams, as it comes with the exceptionally strong endgame ready perk combo of Overflow with Controlled Burst. Collecting any special or heavy ammo will overflow the magazine of Glacioclasm by up to 100%. If you have ionized battery in the second column, this would get you up to 14 rounds in just one magazine. This means you don't need to reload basically ever, and it pairs perfectly into maximising its damage output potential, especially when paired with Controlled Burst. This perk is S tier on literally all fusions at the moment, as by landing every shot in a burst on a target will increase the damage of the next burst by 20%, plus it will decrease the charge time by 10%. This perk is huge, especially on high impact fusions, bringing the charge time way down, plus with the recent update to the charge time masterwork mod with it no longer affecting a fusion's impact damage, you can chuck that on too, and you'll bring its charge time down to just about 0.8 seconds, which in terms of DPS is absolutely massive, making this a perfect weapon to rotate in for any boss damage phases. Glacioclasm is definitely a must-have. Stay Frosty though has probably had the biggest glow up this year, as it has a bunch of newly added perks. Encore, Killing Wind, Kill Clip and Head Seeker are all still here, and the incredibly potent Desperado will still do bits in PvP. And that even has more contenders to pair with it than just heating up, as Enlightened Action may take its place. Enlightened Action will boost the reload and handling speed of Stay Frosty, which could come in handy when you want to activate and manage Desperado's rate of fire increase. However, an infinitely better pairing this season for Enlightened Action would be Headstone. This lightweight frame stasis pulse rifle has some great synergy with the current seasonal artifact mods, with Dragon's Bite, Pillar of Ice and Hail the Storm more than boosting the effectiveness of Headstone whether you're using a stasis subclass or not. Precision final blows with Headstone will generate a stasis crystal at the enemy's location, which can also freeze nearby targets. Shattering these crystals can deal huge damage with the above mentioned artifact mods, and even more so with the Whisper of Fissures equipped, and it can even help with the cooldown of your grenades with the Whisper of Shards. Cold Front is the kinetic SMG of all time. It's an aggressive frame with absolutely woeful stability. However, you can absolutely max out its range stat to 70 with a combination of hammerforged rifling, accurized rounds and a range masterwork. You'll probably get flinched to the moon with it set up like that, but in my opinion you wouldn't want it any other way, as fortunately it's also had a bit of a glow up too this year. Enlightened Action, Attrition Orbs and Cascade Point are all worthy contenders, but Frenzy is too much of a great pick on literally any SMG, and it's no different here on the Cold Front. It'll boost damage by 15% and give you a massive 100 stat boost to both handling and reload speeds. You can counteract the lack of stability by going for perpetual motion, but I think rewind rounds is the way to go here. This will refill 60% of the magazine on landing shots on a target, and this makes it one of the more desirable SMGs in Destiny 2, as it's one of only 2 SMGs that can roll with it, and it's a perk that's generally only seen on raid weapons. Avalanche has always been an underrated machine gun, much like most machine guns to be honest, but it's got some great potential for endgame damage. There's not too much to write home about Avalanche this Christmas time, but you could be rocking around the Christmas tree with this combination of rewind rounds and target lock. We've already discussed rewind rounds with Cold Front, and it's even better here because it's going to allow you to activate the maximum damage boost from target lock. You need to land 110% of your magazine's capacity to trigger the ×5 boost from target lock, which is a massive 40% damage increase. This combo will effectively double your magazine size, and it's way easier to achieve than other popular machine guns which only have triple tap or 4 times the charm. Plus it's a solar energy adaptive frame machine gun, and so it'll benefit massively from all the popular solar based artifact mods this season, and it'll do bits in the new dungeon. Zephyr is still the first and only stasis sword in Destiny 2. It's an adaptive frame sword, meaning it'll do a heavy uppercut attack It comes with all your standard blade and guard options, with both Jagged Edge and Swordmaster's guards being the best in terms of increasing sword damage, ammo capacity, as well as the charge rate for your heavy attack. Relentless Strikes is still an S tier perk on swords, as 3 rapid light attacks will grant sword ammo, which is great for working between the downtime of your heavy attack. However, I think you might want to take a second look at Adaptive Munitions. This perk is totally forgotten about, which totally opens up a ton of weapons for endgame content, as it deals increasingly higher damage against non-matching and also barrier champions shields, effectively making it perfect for dealing with barrier champions this season, especially with only the anti-barrier sidearm mod available. It's the only sword that has this perk, which boosts damage by up to 500% on shielded enemies, and when combined with Cold Steel, you'll have a full trifecta of anti-champion perks on just one weapon. Cold Steel is absolutely a must-have perk on this stasis sword and works wonders with the stasis themed artifact mods. Any and all sword hits apply stacks of slow to targets, which will stun overload champions and ultimately freeze targets. Shattering frozen targets deals huge damage, and this will stagger unstoppable champions. This is excellent as it will also trigger a number of synergies with multiple stasis subclass aspects and fragments, much like the Headstone perk does, plus the seasonal artifact synergy goes rather hard with this one too. All of these weapons have a chance to drop from turning in Dawning Cookies at various vendors, opening gifts in return, and they can be focused at either Levante in the tower. If you want the perfect stasis weapon to pair with the new Dawning themed modifiers, check out this beast by watching this video next.